So let's just begin standing comfortably with the feet about hip distance apart, relaxing through the knees and the ankles. Taking some nice deep breaths in, just thinking about expanding through the body as you inhale, spreading your fingers wide, lifting the heart. And then as you exhale, just round the spine, let the arms, the hands, everything relax. Chin coming to the chest. Again, inhale, expanding, spreading the fingers, feeling that energy opening up. And exhale, release. Just two more, trying to make each breath just a little bit deeper, expanding a little bit further. One last time, inhaling and exhale, release. Good, and let's just come back to that nice neutral stance, starting to move into the neck muscles. Just dropping your ear over to one shoulder, let the head just hang. Slowly roll that chin to your chest and bring the other ear over to the other shoulder. Nice and gentle, taking our time. One more time, back and forth. And just come back to the center with the head, and let's take the chin all the way over to one shoulder, just twisting as far as you can naturally. And take it to the other side. And just observing how that feels today. Noticing if you feel a little more tightness on one side or the other. Just tuning into your body, connecting your breath. Good, and taking the chin back to neutral. Let's take a little neck retraction, drawing the chin back as if you're making a double chin. And then release it. So just drawing that cervical vertebrae back into alignment as we spend so much of our day jutting the chin forward as we're texting and typing and looking down. Good, just one more time. Pull that chin back and release it. Moving further down into the shoulders, take a nice deep breath in and circle the elbow across your chest, just bending that elbow in. And other side, inhaling. And exhale, bend across. Again, inhale and exhale. One more, inhale and exhale. Good, now let's go ahead and hold a stretch. So we're going to take this arm across the chest. Just gently hug that elbow over. So feeling that stretch across your upper back, keeping the shoulders and hips facing forward. Nice, and go ahead and switch arms. Take it to the other side. Hugging that elbow across. Beautiful, release it down. Let's go ahead and deeply bend the knees, bringing the hands on top of the thighs for support, moving into a cat-cow spine stretch. On your next inhale, just round your chin to your tailbone, tucking everything under. And release, arch, trying to gaze upwards towards the sky. And rounding in. And arching through that back. So just go from one extreme to the other. Rolling through that spine. As big as you can. One last time. And round. And release. Good, let's slowly roll it through the spine, coming back to a standing position. Again, keeping this little softness in the knees. Interlace your fingers behind your back, open through that heart. Take a nice deep breath in. And on your exhale, fold forward from those hips nice and slow, letting the head come down towards the floor, relaxing through the neck. Letting the arms just continue to fall back behind the back. Stretching across the front of the shoulders, the front of the chest. Just gently release your hands towards the mat. And just kind of take a second here to kind of shake everything out. Bending the knees again. Hands on top of the thighs to support your spine to just slowly roll back up to standing. Good, so let's take a minute just to transition down to our mat. So take your time to come down to the floor. We're just gonna end up on an all fours position. Now if you need a little extra padding under your knees, you could add a blanket, a folded towel, or a pillow here. We're gonna place the palms under the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. Taking a nice deep breath in, just stretch one arm all the way up towards the sky, rotating through that spine, opening through the chest. And then we're gonna take that arm and thread it underneath that supporting arm, bringing the shoulder and the head gently to the mat. And once you're here, you could gently press into the shoulder, getting a little leverage for your twist. And if you'd like a little deeper stretch, you could also choose to take your back hand and wrap it behind your back, trying to gaze upward towards the sky. Just remember to listen to your body, see what degree of each stretch feels most comfortable for you. If you have that arm wrapped behind your back, let's go ahead and return it to the mat. And slowly rise back up to that hands and knees position. Good, let's take that on the other side. So we're gonna take that nice deep breath in, spiraling, opening up through the spine and through the chest. And thread that arm underneath to the mat. Bring your shoulder and head gently to the floor. Again, choosing to keep your hand on the mat for support or wrapping it behind your back, trying to gaze upwards. Just letting the breath be deep and free, trying to keep the mind clear, relaxed, and present. Good, if that hand is behind your back, let's return it to the floor. Rising back up one more time here. Good, so for this next pose, there's two options for you. You can tuck your toes and sit back on your heels, but if that seems to bother your knees, just go ahead and sit cross-legged for this next position. So on the heels with the hips or in that cross-legged seated pose, we're just gonna start to lean the hands back behind us, and your fingertips can point whatever direction feels most for your shoulders. And once you're there, just think of lifting the heart, taking some nice deep breaths, opening across the chest. And if you're sitting on your heels, the tops of the thighs. And that cross-legged stretch is also a nice position for the hips. So either way you've decided to move your legs, you're gonna get a nice stretch for the upper and lower body. Good, now let's just slowly walk in with the hands. And if you're cross-legged, you're already in that seated position. But if you're on your heels, let's go ahead and lower down into a butterfly stretch by bringing the soles of our feet together and just tuck the heels in as close to your body as you comfortably can. You might need to kind of maneuver those sit bones back a little bit to make your hips comfortable. Sitting up nice and tall through that spine. Take a deep breath, think of lifting through that chest. And then exhale, rounding forward, bringing the nose towards your feet. They don't have to get anywhere close to them, but just round that back. Inhaling and lifting. And exhaling and rounding. Good, one more time. Inhale, lift. And as you exhale and round, just feel your knees sort of releasing open even further from the hips into that butterfly position. Good. Let's come back to neutral with the spine. And next we're just gonna open into a straddle position with your legs. So taking one leg out at a time, make sure we don't overdo it. And your straddle may be different. So you might need to keep your legs closer together. If you have more flexibility, you might want to take them wider. Just see what really feels right for you. Making sure that the knees and toes are not rolling inwards here. So sitting tall, the size of the V is not what's important. I just want you to be able to open those legs and keep the knees upward. So once you're in that V position with your legs, take one arm up and over and just walk the fingertips of that other hand out to take a nice side stretch. Making sure that that opposite hip stays connected to the mat as we lengthen out and over to the leg. Slowly rise back up, and let's take it out and over to the other side. Walking the fingertips out, stretching out and over to the side. Beautiful, slowly coming back up. And again, careful to transition. We're gonna bend one knee in front of the body and then bend the opposite knee behind the hip. So kind of trying to make almost two 90-degree angles through your knees, or as close as you can. Another option to make yourself more comfortable, you could sit your hips on a pillow or that folded blanket or towel here as well. So this is a nice little alternative to pigeon pose to stretch the hips. So once you have your legs in position, think of tilting your pelvis forward towards that front knee and just begin to slowly walk your hands as far forward as is comfortable for you. So we should be starting to feel a little stretch through the outside of the front hip here. Good, and maybe you have the flexibility to walk your hands all the way out and fold over your leg. But again, think of tilting that pelvis forward to emphasize that hip stretch in the front. Good, let's walk it back in. And we're gonna take this back leg and just cross it over this front leg. So you can bring your front heel in a little closer to your body, stacking that back knee over so that you can stand on the foot here. We're going to give that knee a hug with our opposite hand. Think of lifting up tall through the spine first. Bring your opposite hand behind your hip for a little leverage, and then see if you can twist, look back over your shoulder. So we want to get the length in the spine first before we start that rotation. Now we should be feeling the opposite hip here. Again, just breathing into each stretch, taking our time to allow the muscles to relax and open. Nice, so let's untwist and go ahead and set that up on the other side. So now that this leg is in front, we'll keep it there for that 90-90 stretch. Taking that other leg back behind you, squaring up your hips as best you can, and again, tilting forward with that pelvis, starting to walk the hands out as far as is comfortable for you. Again, noticing if one hip feels a little tighter than the other. It's completely natural. Long spine, deep breaths. And slowly walking the hands back in, bending the heel in towards your body in the front, stacking that back knee over, sitting up nice and tall through the sit bones, through the spine, hugging that knee with your opposite hand, looking back over your shoulder. Beautiful. So let's move on from here. We're going to go ahead and turn onto our side. Keeping the top knee bent in front of our hip, you can just place your hand underneath your head for support. See if you can grab a hold of your bottom foot, pulling the heel in towards you, pressing your pelvis forward for a nice stretch through the front of the thigh and the hip flexor on that bottom leg. Take some nice deep breaths, drawing that heel in close to the body. Good. And release it. Let's just come up to seated. And before we go to the other side, we're going to stretch the feet here. So just rise up onto your hands and knees before we transition. Tuck your toes under and just gently rock your hips back to your heels, stretching the soles of the feet, and come forward. Doing it again. Exhaling, sitting back. Inhaling, coming forward. One more time. Exhale, sit back. Inhaling, coming forward. Good, and let's go ahead and carefully transition on to the other side. So lying onto the other side, bending the other knee on top, bottom knee bends, seeing if you can grab a hold of that foot, pulling that heel in towards the body, pressing the pelvis forward. And release it, and coming back up from here. So we stretched through the soles of the feet last time. Now we're going to focus a little bit more on stretching through the Achilles. So see if you can come to a low crouched position, tucking the toes under, walking your feet as wide as you need to try to bring those heels towards the floor. Now if they're not getting close to the floor, that's okay. Just get as low as you can. Just find that low crouched position. You can use your hands as much as you need them. If you feel comfortable here and your heels are down, you could also choose to use your elbows to gently open through those inner thighs. Again, just find what works best for you. Nice. And let's just release the hands down. And we're going to turn the toes forward, lift the hips, just come to parallel, softening through the knees, slowly rolling up through the spine, just wrapping up here with some standing spinal extensions. So once you come up here, just position those hands right at your hip bones and extend the spine back as far back as is comfortable for you. And lift back up. One more time, extending back. And lifting up. Let's take a nice deep breath in to finish here together. Inhale, stretching those arms overhead. And exhale, release it. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today to stretch and open your body. Hope you're feeling a little bit more relaxed and a little bit more open.